Alrighty, welcome everyone. We are live. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hello. We do have some people hopping on here. Let us know where you are tuning in from, city, state, location, whatever you want to tell us. Let us know in the live chat or in the comment section. Folks, we do have major breaking news to cover in today's live stream. Well, new polling data that could suggest a major Trump victory, a landslide victory. And it's quite interesting timing that you have this new polling data because you have this symmetry, or rather this split screen of the January 6th committee hearings alongside this anticipation, this eager awaiting of Trump's announcement to run in 2024. So it's quite the split screen, it's quite the spectacle. And Trump, his most recent comments where he essentially said that he wants to run again in 2024. He didn't make an official announcement, but he believes that becoming president again would essentially exonerate him from any charges that could come from the January 6th committee. And so just interesting timing here with this polling data, and I want to dive into it and reveal it, unpack it, and basically see what it means for 2024. Well, I think we are ready to get started. I hope you guys are doing well. Number one, give this video a tremendous thumbs up. Smash that like button. I'd appreciate that. Also, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Have notifications turned on. Ring that bell, and that will notify you every time we do upload a brand new video. We'll be doing another cash giveaway once we hit 20,000 subscribers, which could be right around the corner at the pace we're going. And as you guys know, we're giving away double the amount of cash that we gave away at 10,000, and you'll have to be subscribed to be entered in that giveaway. So you might as well get it out of the way now and become a subscriber. With that being said, let's get started and get right down to it. So, what is these numbers pointing to? Well, first of all, the current RCP, or Real Clear Politics average of recent national surveys, includes 4 separate polls from June 28th to July 20th, and it shows Trump ahead by about 2 points. The former Republican president has the support of about 44.5%. Interesting that he was the 45th president, so interesting number there. 44.5% of voters compared to just 42.5% who backed the Democratic incumbent. Trump leads in 3 of the 4 recent polls included in the average, while 1 has Biden narrowly ahead. So majority of the polls has Trump ahead. Obviously, there's always a margin of error, right? So there's always some give and take. It's not always going to be exact numbers, and we are fully acclimated with that fact. Just look at the 2016 election as far as the state polling. National polling actually got the election in 2016 rather correct. There's a common misconception. People believe that 2016 polling was totally out of whack and totally wrong, but nationally, the polls did get it pretty accurate that Hillary Clinton would win the popular vote, but the state pollings definitely had these quiet, closeted Trump voters that the polling missed, and they were unaccounted for. So former President Trump is still favored to defeat President Joe Biden in a 2024 rematch if both politicians ultimately become their respective parties' nominees, despite the evidence and testimony presented in televised hearings by the House Select Committee investigating the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Since June 9th, the committee has held 8 lengthy public hearings revealing what many analysts have described as damning evidence against Trump. I was just watching highlights of one of them recently, and it showed Trump essentially fumbling and mumbling through his January 7th speech, his address to the nation, and he had to do many takes, and he didn't want to address blatantly that these voters and cult followers would get locked up if they continued their attacks. And so it was just interesting to watch that, and these hearings are definitely getting views. They're getting millions of people's eyeballs, probably more so among the left side, and the hearings have focused on the former president's actions and lack thereof when the Capitol riot unfolded, as well as his efforts to unconstitutionally overturn Biden's 2020 election win. Prominent Republican officials from Trump's own administration have provided testimony, such as Kayleigh McEnany, Jared Kushner. Regardless of the hearings and the evidence being laid out against Trump, recent polling largely shows that the former president would still more likely than not win in 2024 if he faces off against Biden a second time. Notably, Trump has not officially confirmed a plan to run for another White House term, and Biden has said multiple times that he will seek re-election. So, the most recent poll carried out by Emerson College from July 19th to 20th showed Trump ahead of Biden by 3 points. Pretty substantial margin there. Nothing to shy away from. The former president was backed by 46% of registered voters, and the current president had the support of just 43%, so both did not have the majority, but certainly quite close still. It surveyed 1,078 registered voters and had a margin of error of plus or minus 2.9%. So it's basically within the margin of error of 2.9 there. And so, it could essentially be split break even depending on how inaccurate the polling is. But, with that being said, I don't think you're going to have a lot of closeted, uncounted for Biden voters, right? I feel like that would be more so on the Trump side, that you would have these closeted supporters. And I don't think you would necessarily have Biden voters that don't want to say that they are voting for him. I don't think you're just going to see that. So I think the margin is pretty accurate, and it could very well be 46 to 43%, give or take. Polling from the Trafalgar Group showed the former president with an even more substantial lead of 5 points in that poll. That survey was conducted from July 11th to the 14th, had Trump at 48% and Biden at just 43%. The poll included 1,085 likely voters with a margin of error of plus or minus 2.9% again. So similar or the same margin of error, and yet even more of a substantial lead. Quite interesting. Is getting intriguing. Then a survey by the Harvard CAPS Harris Group from June 28th to 29th had Trump up 3 points as well. In that poll, just 40% of registered voters said that they would back Biden and 43% said that they would support Trump. A few more than 1,300 registered voters took part in the poll. Now, there's always the question of the people that would not back either candidate and what will they ultimately do come 2024. They could sway one way or the other, depending on how the debates go, depending on the sentiment in the country and the state that we're in, depending on the economy. So many factors that play a role here. And so those people that were polled that basically said that they would sit that one out, or maybe they said that they would support a different candidate, a write-in, who knows? Their votes could certainly be swayed one way or the other come November of 2024. Now, the one outlier of these recent polls was the New York Times Siena College poll that showed Biden ahead by 3 points. Pretty substantial margin there, too. That survey showed Trump with only 41% of support compared to Biden's 44%. The poll included 849 registered voters with a margin of error of plus or minus 4.1%. It was conducted from July 5th to the 7th. So that poll, do take with a grain of salt because it had a larger margin of error. And it was a smaller survey. A smaller group of people were actually surveyed with only 849. Still pretty close to about 1,000, 1,300. Now, while Trump may be preferred over Biden by more voters, that may have a lot to do with the current president's unpopularity. Some recent polling data shows that Biden's approval rating has sunk below even the lowest points Trump saw during his presidency. However, polling also suggests that Trump has lost ground with Republicans amid the January 6 hearings. You're hearing a lot of politicians now on the right that they essentially want to distance themselves from Trump, and there's even been reports of Trump's own children, such as Ivanka, wanting to distance herself from her father. And you also have this battle now, this war between the former Vice President Mike Pence and Trump, where they're backing two totally different candidates in Arizona. And Trump was even booed at his own rally for backing that particular candidate by the audience because they favored the candidate that Mike Pence was backing. And so total division now really between both parties. You can't even argue that we're argued split down the middle. We're really now in sort of four groups in four different demographics here because Republicans are split and now Democrats are split between wanting Biden to run again and choosing a different president, someone else to fill his shoes. So really interesting dynamic here that we have in this country, but still divided nonetheless. Now, survey data released by Reuters Ipsos on Thursday showed that the number of Republicans opposed to Trump seeking another White House term has grown. Interesting. In the poll carried out from July 20th to the 21st, about one-third, about 32% of Republicans strongly or somewhat agreed with the statement that Trump should not run for president again in 2024. That was an increase from about one quarter, 26%, who said the same just 6 weeks ago. Some recent polls have shown that Americans would largely prefer that neither Trump nor Biden run for president in 2024. Polling conducted by Yahoo News and YouGov from June 10th to the 13th revealed that a majority of voters oppose both politicians seeking additional presidential terms. Also take that with a grain of salt, because just keep in mind, even though these voters don't want to see Trump and Biden face off and would rather two totally different candidates on each side, when it comes down to it and when it comes down to potentially that rematch taking place, ultimately these voters will have to make that decision. And so even though they're saying now that they don't want either of them, they may end up choosing one or the other come 2024. On the question regarding whether Trump should run again, 55% of people said no, while just 31% said yes. The results were even worse for Biden, with 64% of respondents saying no and only 21% saying yes. So that could also point to Biden's unpopularity. Those numbers can also be indicative of Biden losing ground and Trump potentially gaining some momentum, but at the same time, people may not even be surprised to hear these numbers, because just so you understand, Trump supporters will support Trump no matter what, at least the hardcore ones. And whereas on the Biden side, the Democratic side, you may have some people backing away from the president and wanting a more progressive candidate and potentially giving Bernie or someone else another shot, maybe a young face, a fresh face. And so you definitely have this dynamic here where the two sides are just totally divided. Of course, it is still early. You never know what could happen in just the next year, year and a half. Maybe the economy will rebound and people will be thriving again. But right now, economists are predicting that will not be the case. I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts? What do you think will go down? What do you think will happen? Will we have another rematch between the current president and the former president? Or do you think one way or the other, we're going to see a different candidate in there, whether it is on the Democratic side or Republican side? Or will we see candidates just run against each other? Right? You might have Trump being the nominee, but also you may still have someone like Ron DeSantis or even Mike Pence or maybe even a Nikki Haley running on their own, just hoping to get any votes in 2024. Right? You saw a lot of independent candidates like Gary Johnson, even 2016. He was notable, and you also saw that happen with 2020 as well. So what will happen? Let us know your opinions down below in the comment section or in the live chat if you're watching right now live. But that is where we stand right now, and more developments will follow suit. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you share with a friend, get the word out, and give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button. If this video gets to 500 likes, we will do a cash giveaway where we give away $100 to a few of you lucky subscribers. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed and have those notifications turned on. Click that bell, and if you want to get some free stocks, all mail free, use the links down below in the description of this video. Sign up with the brokerage platforms Robinhood and or Webull and get some free stocks, some valued up to thousands of dollars in some cases. So let us know what stocks you get. And if you want to connect with me on social media, I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook. Use the links down below and meet me there. I look forward to seeing you guys on social, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care for now.